What is up, everybody? Welcome back to Rasks. We have taken a 2-year hiatus on these Rask blades due to reasons, but in this video we're gonna get back into it. So blade show just finished, we just came back. This is my first day back in the shop, and Angelo's been getting us ahead on Norseman parts so that we can actually spend some time and focus on Rasks. So that's what we're doing right now. So let's take a little inventory of the parts that we have, the stage that we're at, what we need to do, what we're working on, and hopefully in this video we'll make some progress. So this guy here that I'm holding is the very first Rask ever. This was made on my Tormac in my garage before we got the Mori. The date on the inside is April 2015, right before we launched the pre-order for these Rasks. You can see the bevels have been milled with an end mill and don't look very amazing, but they were an excellent prototype start. It says Proto on it. Big undercut at the top of the bevel there. We've come a long ways. However, so I wanted to take a little inventory, so we spread out our Rask goodies here. So for 2 years now, we have had close to 80 knives worth of raw materials. The handles come in as 180 titanium. They have not been double disked or anything. We do all the milling on them here in-house. Rask blades we did send out for lapping. I'll show you those in a second. And then the pocket clips as well get fully machined, so no lapping, no grinding involved there. So we have some inventory. Here's the fixture that we made. As you can see, September 2017. These haven't even come off and been finished yet. So that's been over a year and a half that this has just been sitting there. So the way it goes, just like our Norseman fixture now, but a little bit different. Inside of the handles and clips, and then they flip here and do the top sides where this guy would go. Actually, I think it mounts tall ways this way. So insides and then top sides, and then soft blades, and then they go to heat treat, and then the hard blades get mounted on the sides, and they get hard milled, and I'll talk more about that in a minute. And then it gets mounted to the other side for the second side, and then they go kind of here to get the engraving put on, and then also to get this little tab chopped off. And then the blade comes out like that. All right, Angelo's gonna take that half-finished blade over to the tumbler, so it might get a little bit louder here. There it is. But I wanted to show you our good buddy Brad Southard and how he does his blades. So he was telling me this is his mini Tolk that he was kind enough to give to me. We gave him a Rask a couple years ago, so he graciously returned the favor. Check out his bevels. These are so nice. So he's got a couple different methods for making these, but I believe these are hand stoned and then tumbled afterwards. And I just love that flat, beautiful, no tool path, just gorgeous bevel. I think it looks amazing. And that's basically what we're doing on the Rask. So the big question is, why did we stop making Rasks? And it's basically, as we're going to talk about in this video, the bevels. I was never ever happy with the process and the result and the time involved, and just the method was not optimal. So we went back to making Norseman, and we also, doing Norseman allowed us to focus and nail down a recipe and a workflow, and that's what we've been focusing on for the past year and a half, and it's been phenomenal. It's allowed us to increase our consistency, our smoothness, our reliability, and basically our daily production, and then spread those jobs amongst everybody else here, which is awesome. Now we get to use all that knowledge, integrate it into Rasks, fix these bevels, make them epic, and then bring Rasks back, Norseman and Rasks together. I think that's gonna make a lot of people happy. So the method we were using before was using an end mill like this, a 3/8 inch 4 flute, 5 flute, or 6 flute, depending on what mood I was in. And we'd come down and we'd start picking away at this, taking 5 thou width of cut, full depth of cut, 5 thou width of cut. If you'll notice, the blade is angled out at a, I think, 4 degree or something like that angle, ever so slightly. So when we milled this fixture, I mounted the fixture up on its side, and no, actually I mounted the fixture at a 4 degree angle in the mill, and then I was able to flat mill this at the proper angle. So that was pretty cool. Which means that the blade is angled, so with the tool being straight up and down, we're creating that perfect bevel. So we rough it out, and then we come in with this custom made 800 grit diamond grinding wheel. Resin bond diamond wheel. We went through a lot of experimentation with these. We destroyed a couple. You can see right there, the core separated from the shaft. I think I broke that one. That one's still new. Destroyed that. I think I broke that one. That one's still new. Or that one's new. Destroyed that one. Got some other ones here to try. And yeah, it's I didn't share any of this because I was never happy with the process. So I'm kind of sad that I didn't share any of it, but I wasn't feeling great about it the whole time, so it wasn't fun. So we had these made by a company in California. They were only about $200 each, but with a 6-week lead time. So when I broke one, I cried really hard because I needed it. We had this Rask pre-order to fill, and it's such a fine grit that it would load up really easily, and it would burn the blade. Like you can see the front edge of this one is burned, so I had a lot of burning problems, had a lot of loading up problems, a lot of just garbage issues that never made me happy. But we got a couple things to try this round that are hopefully going to make it better, and then with a process like that to fix any inefficiencies in the finish, it should be pretty sweet. So basically this grinding wheel would come in after the end milling, and it would pick away at it like a thou at a time, ever so slightly. I think I programmed 50 passes to make sure that it starts in free air, and then there's never a heavy cut. It's always like, it might do 10 or 20 air passes just to make sure that that first pass is tickling it properly. Because I didn't care how long it took at the time, I just wanted a reliable result. And it worked okay, but the blade still ended up a little bit streaky. And then now this fixture being 2 years old, and the Norseman fixtures, the new ones, being so much better, I would completely redesign this now. But for testing, it'll work great. So here's one option for our bevels that a couple other knife makers do, is we're using these EDM stones, or mold maker stones, or die maker stones, whatever you call them. Geiswin. I got a whole set, spent a couple $100 and got, you know, a nice set of them, which is really cool. So you want to explain it real quick, like what's going on?
Just right now we're experimenting, and basically what grits we're going to require, what we'd have to do in order to stone out any toolpath marks. Right now I'm starting with something that was milled, so it's much heavier lines than we were grinding, and I'm just seeing how long it takes, what stones I got to use, just some experimentation. Obviously in the future we would want a fixture to kind of hold these two down a bit more rigidly, and maybe a oscillating, is that what they're called?
Yeah, it's an air profiler.
Yeah, something like that to speed it up a little bit and give you a bit more control. And yeah, just see what they look like. I mean, it's already very, very nice. Well, it kind of reminds me of die making back in the day. Same thing we used to do. Mold makers do this a lot, and it works. It's very fast and very controllable. A lot nicer than sandpaper. Sandpaper, even in a block, it's not perfectly flat, so it's easy to roll over edges. With this, if I don't want to roll over an edge, even I can go right up to that edge. As long as I'm staying on this surface here, I'm not touching that, so I can keep very crisp lines everywhere. and keep it looking pretty.
Sweet. Yeah, the first 20 or so blades that we did, we just left it at an end mill finish, which I don't know if I have any here, but it does not look good. And then, as I talked about, we're doing the grinding finish. This is the finish with the grinding wheel, which is great, but still not perfect. You can see a lot of lines, a lot of height variation there. This will definitely not tumble out. And then after about 5 minutes of first attempt, Angelo was able to get it to this. You still see the swirls, but they're nothing. They might actually tumble out. So we're going to try that a little bit later. For a first attempt, this is phenomenal. And this one is 328D because we accidentally made 2 328s back in the day. But yeah, look at the difference between that finish and that finish. It's noticeable. So yeah, I was looking up, they have these things called an air profiler that at what he's doing by hand, you put the stone in a little machine that basically oscillates it at 20 to 50,000 times per minute. So it's always going like this as you're moving forward, like very micro movements. And it basically does the work for you. So you slowly move it forward and it's pounding it, jiggling it so much. And those machines are $500 to $2,000. And if this method works and if we're happy with it, I think that's definitely a worthwhile investment. So then we can bring Rask back. So like I was saying before about the Rask handles being raw, we did send the blades out for double disc grinding and lapping. And the lapping company did a surprisingly good job. Not great, but really good job. Can still see a lot of handling scratches, but the finish is really good. A little hazy, probably an aluminum oxide lapped finish. Fairly good RA, somewhat reflective, but not that good compared to what we're doing now in-house, which is a very reflective finish. Sup, guys? Very reflective. Even if it is swirly up close, this definitely tumbles out.
Is it 1 RA?
Yeah, our finish, we're measuring 0.6, I think was the measurement we got. 0.6 RA micro inch, which is sweet. So yeah, we got all the blades lapped a couple years ago. They're still good, they're still done, like they're ready to go. And then, so I showed this blade, I keep it around for reference because of the burning. This one Eric tried to grind out with a belt grinder. That did not end very well. And then we have all of these blades that have been heat treated and they're ready to start grinding on. So here's another one that burned really, really bad. Oh, this just made me sad when I was doing this kind of stuff. Destroys the wheel a little bit. Destroys the blade completely. Yeah. But we have 2, 4, 6 blades to practice hard milling on. Hard grinding. And that was side 2 of Damasteel.
It's a bit of waviness, I guess, from milling.
One of the little changes we made was originally this little radius fit the 3/8 end mill. And then Angelo's noticing it's hard now to polish it out, and Eric was saying the same thing back in the day. So we increased the radius to fit the grinding wheel better. The 2-inch wheel, 1-inch radius. Kind of like how Brad does it here too, where it just kind of sweeps out, makes it easier for everybody. So Eric's not here yet because he's still on post blade show vacation because he drove back, so he's taking an extra day, which is fine. But I'll show you what he used to do to hand finish every ground blade. So we got our Wirtz grinder, we got our Grimsmo grinder, mounted a disc platen to it, and what he would do is he would take the 3M spray adhesive and he'd spray it on there, and then he would slap a disc of rubber I don't know where it is. It's probably in one of the drawers. So he'd slap a rubber backing on here, and then he would Super 77 glue, spray adhesive, you know, like 220 grit, and then pull it off, and then put a 400 on, pull it off, do a 600, and he would basically freehand go like this with the wheel spinning towards, like that, to hand grind every one. And he said it took forever. A non-scalable amount of time. And that's a big part of the reason why we stopped making these, because his wrists were killing him. It was very difficult, it was annoying, and we just didn't want to do it. It is what it is. So it's my job to find a better way to do it, which is part of the 1.5 year hiatus, is kind of crunching and thinking and trying to find better ways to get a better finish. This is that hand ground one. This, I think, was done on a belt, which he didn't like either. We actually got this Moen rotary platen, a couple grand for this attachment to do something like this, which should work great. Eric just hasn't played enough to get it figured out properly. That's another option. But I think the hand lapping, like the die stone polishing method, will be best, especially with the air profiler, compared to the Norseman bevels, which have a very purposeful milled pattern into them. And that's part of the beauty and part of the nature of the Norseman knife, is that it has this, and they're perfect. I wanted a contrast with the Rask. I want the Rask to have those glass smooth, almost mirror polished or stone washed bevels, so that we have, you know, a difference between the two blades. We could do a 3D bevel, a 3D milled bevel on the Rask. I'm not ready to do that yet. Although that's definitely an option B. But I think we can nail it. And then we have the difference. We have the milled here and then the polished here. So that's about that for now. Once we can nail bevels, I'm not too worried about the handles. The handles are actually kind of easy to machine. There's a lot of machining in a Rask handle, but it's relatively straightforward. You replace the ball mills early and then they always look good. And then tumbling was pretty good on those. Yeah, it's definitely time to get back into Rasks. So we're playing. Hopefully, I mean, not tomorrow, but within the next few months, next 6 months, we'll be selling Rasks. That's the goal.